you.
What is up, guys? It's Ian here, and you're watching Eian Spills the Beans, where basically I pick a topic of anything that interests me, and I just talk about it. As simple as that. So this is the season premiere of Eian Spills the Beans, and I don't know how this is gonna go. In my mind, it looks pretty good, so let's just hope for the best here. So today, I'm gonna talk about work. What about work? Just things throughout the 3 jobs that I've had, things that were cool, things that kind of pissed me off, and yeah, because I just feel like talking. So my first job it's called Kennywood Park, and if you don't know what it is, it's an amusement park here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Although that's in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, but you get the point. Nice little park, good way to kill a Saturday or whatever. And the funny thing is, though, it's about maybe like a 20 to 30 minute drive away from my house. But taking the bus, I'd have to take a trolley from my house to downtown Pittsburgh, which is about 15 minutes. And then I'd have to catch a bus, which took about an hour just to get there. And it was not fun, especially like when I had to go straight after work. Then it was like I came home at like 11, just crashed, and then worked the next day after school. It was not fun. Don't recommend it. But yeah, that was my first job, and it was pretty interesting because it was one of those things where you try to be perfect because it's your first job. You don't really know kind of what to expect. You don't know how to act. It's just really strange. So I was trying to be perfect with everything. Obviously stressing over stuff that shouldn't really have been stressed about, and just looking back, like I could have slacked off so much more and no one would have cared, and if I were to have that job again, I'm sure I do just fine. But basically the reason why I left there is a lot of ghetto people. They just come in, treat you like shit, and that's basically retail. But I just got so tired of some of the stupid shit that kept happening. So like people don't read instructions, or they ask you how much the game is when the sign is right there and it says $2. So it was just stuff like that. I was just getting so annoyed, and the management sucked. So basically you had your supervisors for your place, which was I had games in retail, but I only did games. I didn't do any cash register stuff. I did it once just to learn, but that was basically it. And it was like 10 minutes. So yeah, so like you had your supervisors. I think there was like 3 or 4 of them. Then you had your manager, and you'd have multiple managers, but like you just had like one main one, and if they weren't there, you just had like the rovers come around, and they just kind of did that for the day. And my manager, I'm not gonna say his name just for privacy reasons. He was a cool dude. We got along really well. He was a fun guy to be around. And the supervisors would make the schedule, and then they'd give it to the manager, and the manager would give it to you. And what really started to piss me off is they would text me, like they would send me a picture of the schedule, and it was through my number and everything. But I go in one day, my OG manager's not there. It was one of those rover peoples. I go in, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "I work today." He's like, "We called you off," and I'm like, no, you didn't." He's like, "Yeah, we sent you a voicemail." I'm like, "I don't have a voicemail." It's like, "Oh, but it's not set up. We tried sending you one, but we just didn't keep trying because it wasn't set up." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And I had them call me, and then I had them leave a voicemail in front of them, and I was just like, "It's set up, so you guys didn't leave me a voicemail. I don't know what you guys are saying." So like, "Oh, I don't know. Do you just want us to text you instead?" I'm just like, "You should have texted me if my phone didn't go off, or my voicemail apparently wasn't working, even though it was. You should have just texted me if you're already texting me my schedule." And so that was like kind of like my first red flag, and that's basically what happened. Another thing is, minor laws are like at 5 hours of working you need to take a break. and there was a lot of times when they violated that, and you're working outside, it's hot, you're rushing, and you just need a break. So it was a little annoying whenever, you know, you didn't get the break that you needed. And I know some people are going to say, well, I work 14 hours a day and I don't get a break. Whatever, I don't give a shit. So, I don't know, it just got annoying because the management and the staff, whoa, what's happening with my monitor? It's freaking out. Okay, I'm just like looking at the waveforms on Audacity, and it's like spazzing out. Ugh, that's weird. And yeah, and it was just so far away, and I was just so tired of going there every single day, and my mom and dad were tired of picking me up every single day, and it was just a pretty shitty thing overall. If I would have lived like 10 minutes away, it'd be pretty rad, but it just got old really fast. But I will say though, that definitely did help me kick off a lot of things with my computer, meaning like that's how I got my kick-ass motherboard and just things like that. So how I got my job at Journeys is I have a friend who works, I don't know if like this place is like international or it's just like a East Coast, I don't know. It's called Eian's. It's a pretzel shop. I'm sure a lot of people know what that is, but if you don't, now you do. They're in like pretty much every mall you go to, and my friend works there, and her friend works there that I'm also kind of friends with, and the mall that they're at is close to me. I mean, it's about half an hour, like 20 minutes to half an hour away, but it's just one T ride, and I don't have to like walk or anything, and it's pretty simple. It's just walk down the street, you're at the station, you get off, you're at the mall. So it wasn't that bad getting there. I still do that to work to this day. So the friend of my friend was telling me that Journeys like desperately needed people, and they're hiring right now, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, so let's do that. So I applied online, and about a week later, I completely forgot. My mom was like, "Did you hear anything from Journeys yet?" I'm like, "Oh shit, let me call." So I call them, and it's like, "Oh yeah, you're Ian. You want to come in for an interview tomorrow?" I'm like, "Oh well, hell yeah, that'd be great." So I go in, and this is what's funny. This was like the nail in the coffin for me with Kennywood. Is, you know, I go in for the interview. I look super nice because it's Journeys. You're not supposed to come in like suit and tie. Like I came in with like some nice like jeans, Green Day shirt, blue flannel. Hair was kind of done cool. Had my Converse on, just looking cool. And you know, the interview happens and everything goes super smooth. You get the job right on the spot. Manager says, "All right, just come in tomorrow for the hiring process and training." And I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, cool." And but what's funny though is I just didn't even want to go to Kennywood at that point. But I was talking to my parents, and it's like I got the job, and they're like, "Yep, you got it. You just go for this one day. Just put in your 2 weeks, you know, end on good terms." So I'm going to the T, and keep in mind I'm like at the very last stop, all the way in the south of like the southern region of Pittsburgh or whatever, South Hills Village for the people who live in Pittsburgh. For the people who live outside, sorry, but you get the point. So here I am looking all nice, and I'm on the T going to downtown, which is it's almost going from like the very first stop to like the second the very last, or like the third the very last. So it's like a 45-minute ride. Halfway through, it looks gloomy as tits, and it looks like it's about to storm. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, it's looking bad. Not to mention, you know, it's summer, and it was really humid that day. And I get off downtown, and it is pouring like you wouldn't believe. There's thunder, there's lightning, there's crazy people all about because it's a Saturday afternoon or something. And I call Kennywood. I run inside a CVS. And I'm like, hey, because they have like a if it rains, don't show up kind of thing. So I call my supervisor, say, hey, it's raining so bad right now. I'm looking at the radar. It's gonna travel there. Do you still want me to come? And the supervisor literally says, it's not raining at all, and it's not going to, so you better show up. And I'm just like, okay. So sure enough, the entire bus ride there, it's pouring. You know, I'm in like nice clothes. They're all like soggy and wet because, you know, polluted rain and everything. And it's like I get to Kennywood. I'm in like crappy shorts that say Kennywood on them and my Kennywood shirt. And I just felt so downgraded. And I'm just like, ugh, this sucks. So yeah, so I go up and I'm just like, yep, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I found a better opportunity for me and it's more permanent because Kennywood obviously is seasonal. It's an amusement park. They're not open in the winter normally unless they're doing like a Christmas theme. So they literally said, oh, okay, just stay for the last week if you want. I'm like, oh, okay. So chances are they probably just like the second I walked downstairs from the HR, they like opened up a file cabinet, just like picked up like 10 different like files and then threw a dart and then hired that person. So yeah, that was basically it for Kennywood. It was just a pretty crummy first job, but it was a first job, so whatever. Journeys happens. It is pretty strange. There's a lot of getting used to. I never really got used to everything there, and overall, I did decent. Starting off for like the first like month, it was pretty cool because I was making all my sales goals. I was getting like called out for good things, and yeah, I was making decent money. Not as good as Kennywood by any means, but yeah, it was a part-time job that got me through. But then hours just took a shit, and there would be times where I wasn't scheduled for a week or two. My paychecks were like $60. When I was working Black Friday, all the crazy stuff, like the pinnacle of hours, I only got like $50 to $60. And then my paycheck after that was like 15. It wasn't like 15, it was 15. And then it was just like a lot of people started turning into assholes, especially my manager. I don't even know what happened. It was just she did not want me to be there anymore, and you could tell she didn't want a lot of people to be there anymore. So that was whenever I really was like, alright, I need to apply somewhere else. So at this point, I had applied to Target like for a first job a while ago before Kennywood, but it's a little tricky to get a job at Target from what I've heard. So I applied, heard nothing. So now this is like normal again, so like normal time, and I applied. This was like my last trimester of or this is like the last week of the first trimester of 11th grade, and I get a call and like, hey, this is person from Target, we'd like you to come in for an interview. And I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome. So literally the day after the last day of school for the trimester, I get an interview. Then they're like, okay, we'll have your second interview right now. I'm like, well, second interview, holy crap. So yeah, so the entire interviewing thing took like 2 hours or whatever. It was just crazy. And they hired me, like they literally hired me on the spot, and it was just so mind blowing. I'm like, oh wow. And then they're like, oh yeah, it's $10 an hour. I'm like, oh. So it was pretty crazy. And so like later that week, I went in for the training, and I like as I was leaving the interview, like leaving Target for the interview, because Target's in the mall, but it's like not part of it, it's just connected to it. I go to Journeys, I'm like, hey, here's my Target schedule. I'm like, this is, I need off this one day even though I'm scheduled. Manager's like, okay, that's fine. And then I'm like, okay, so for the next week, and she's like, oh no, let's just wait. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm scheduled way far ahead. You know, it doesn't hurt to, you know, be ahead here. It's like, okay, let's just we're gonna wait. Like, okay then. So, you know, I have like my first few shifts at Target, and it's pretty chill, but I'm gonna get into Target in a minute. And then I had my last shift at Journeys. I didn't even put in my 2 weeks or anything, so I was gonna stay there, and I was, to this day, if I didn't get fired, which I'll talk about in a sec, I would have still been working there, have maybe 2 jobs, or have a discount. That was 40%, which was lit. I wish I still had that. But yeah, it was my last shift at Journeys that I was scheduled on. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, this sucks. So they didn't schedule me for like 3 weeks at Journeys because the one shift, like the next schedule came and like there was a day I couldn't work at Journeys because I was already scheduled at Target. And you're not really, if you're seasonal at Target and like you haven't been working there for 90 days, best you shouldn't call off because they can they have like this 90-day policy where they can pretty much fire you for any reason at any time. It's pretty stupid, but it's whatever. So I just so badly wanted to go to my manager and say, yeah, maybe we should have went ahead of time, but whatever. So yeah, they just don't schedule me for 3 weeks. I'm in the middle of a Target shift, and I get a message from my boss saying like, hey, like you're she fired me over text, which is unprofessional as shit, and there were so many typos. It's like, is this a joke or what? So I pretty much said, like, hey, your lack of performance is showing, and it seems like you don't want to be here, so I'm just gonna let you go with the seasonal hires. Thank you for everything you've done for us. I'm like, alright, see ya, peace, emoticon. And that was that. Yeah. So with Journeys, it was a fine job. It's just like later, it was just so uninteresting because you didn't get hours at all, and your sales goal ended up like becoming impossible to make sometimes, especially like when you had so many people scheduled for one day, and it just got annoying, honestly. But yeah, working at Target now, it's probably the most, like, I guess, legit job, because there's really not a lot of bullshit with like staff or management, and really my only complaint is the people that come in, like customer wise. You have a lot of like rich assholes, or you just have assholes. You rarely have like nice people, and like I'm at this point now where like I just don't even put up with shit anymore. And I know that sounds terrible for someone working at like Target where you expect them to be professional, but if someone gives me an attitude, I like low-key get an attitude back. So at mall entrance, which is basically like where 1 or 2 people are at the registers that go to the mall, and there's only 2 like computers there or registers, so yeah, and they only have 1 person there 90% of the time, if anything. So this lady walks in the mall and then comes to me and says, if I need help, or I need help finding someone for the baby section, who do I go for that? And I like for a second I'm like, oh, there should be, like I'm looking for someone. She's like, there should be what? And I was just ready to be like, damn bitch, like let me finish my fucking sentence. And then I said to her, there will be someone around that section. You'll find them and they'll help you out. And she said, well, if they were there, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Meanwhile, she came in from the mall. She wasn't walking around the store at first. So I'm like, just you'll find them. So she walks like 10 feet, doesn't even go to the area where I tell her to, and then she turns around and looks at me and like raises her arm like, where are they at? And I just got so pissed off with her. I'm just like, how about you walk around a little bit more and stop trying to be smart? And she just turned around and walked away. It's just one of those things where like you just don't put up with people's shit anymore. Especially like after having 3 jobs and dealing with like customer service shit, you just don't even care anymore. And like there's some funny things that happen with customers too, like where like they'll try to not look bad, but really you can tell like they don't. So I know this is like oddly worded, but let me just explain. For example, this lady comes in and she gives me like a shit ton of these like $400 Visa gift cards, and her total is like literally like $2,000 something dollars. And I'm just like, oh shit. This is what's funny. I didn't realize that the cards were worth that much. I thought they were like $20 cards. I looked at total and I'm like, what? And I just don't say anything. So she puts her card in, and normally like whether it's debit or credit, it'll say authorizing for a minute, and then the receipt prints out, and by a minute I mean like maybe 5 seconds. It's just stuck at authorizing. And and it's just like nothing happened. So I call someone over, and then it was one of my managers, and they're trying to help me out here, and they pretty much tell this lady, like, look, and it was kind of a lie. It was like, oh, these cards have like a lockout thing. Once you buy so many of them, the computer doesn't like that, so it just doesn't accept it. So let's just do like 3 at a time or 2 at a time. And she's like, well, okay. So I deactivate all the cards, which actually took a little longer than I expected it to be. It took like maybe not 5 minutes, like a couple minutes, just because you had to scan the barcode and the activation code all over again in the right order. Anyways, so I do like 2 cards for this transaction, and she's paying with credit, by the way. So she does it again, and it just rejects her card. And at this point, I'm like, she has bad credit. It's as simple as that. Then we tried like 1 card, same thing. And she's like, okay, I don't even want the cards anymore. Can we just get these cough drops? And I'm like, all right, fine. Rejects her card again. And she's like, well, that's your machine. And I'm just like, yep, yeah, the machine's acting weird today. It doesn't like us. And she just walks away. I go to my manager, and I'm just like, her credit was fucking horrible. And he's like, yep. So it's just like the small things. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes they make you want to like eat a brick. So Target's definitely a more legit job. It's just like the people that come in really, really, really just kill your morale sometimes. Especially like when people complain about bagging. Ugh, don't even get me started on that. I won't, because this is going on 20 minutes now and I need to stop. But yeah, working, man. It's definitely something. I will say Target, like I said, is the most legit job, just because no shitty management. You get hours, you get paid. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. Well, that's it, guys. Like I said, I can be talking for hours, but I'm just gonna save you the trouble there. If you like what you saw, you know what to do. This is Ian, and I'm out. See you next time.
Hey, how you doing? So you like that video? That's great. Should probably leave a like and a comment to let us know. Probably share it with your friends too, and hit that subscribe button. Make us feel good about ourselves. Alright, thank you.